Hey guys, welcome to another episode here of Mastery Monday. This is the show where every Monday I come to you and I share some of the challenges that we run into when we're running sales training and coaching with sales reps and also with sales teams, and then some of the solutions that we recommend to help them overcome those challenges and drive better sales performance. So in this episode of Mastery Monday, I want to talk to you about overall pipeline reviews and pipeline management. Okay, so I've got a couple of things I want to take you through today here in my notes. So first, I want to talk about what to inspect and when to inspect it, and different cadences, weekly, monthly, quarterly, that kind of thing. I want to talk to you about gap to goal and then coverage. I think that's an important topic. I want to talk to you about just some simple metrics that you can be looking at throughout your pipeline, weekly, monthly, quarterly. I want to talk about scoring and building a confidence to close score with MEDPIC. And then I want to talk to you about a get well plan that a very senior executive told me when I was a VP of sales that can actually apply to a lot of sales reps, but also to sales leaders. So I want to share that with you today as well. Okay, so let's start about what to inspect and when to inspect it. So one of the things that I love doing, like especially if you're using a tool like Gong or some kind of revenue intelligence tool, is going into like the specific views that I set up, like every morning for just like 5-10 minutes. I'm picking like one or two accounts that I need to advance and making a plan and executing that plan. So every Monday morning, you can run a pipeline management exercise where you look at pipeline that you need to close this month or this quarter, depending on your forecasting cadence and the periods that you forecast in, and then make an overall plan. But every morning, just 5-10 minutes looking at those specific views, and looking at deals maybe where I haven't multi-threaded, maybe there's no next steps booked, maybe there was risk surfaced on a previous call, maybe like, I don't know, something else completely different. Just pick one or two and then like build some content or make a bit of a plan that day and put it into the calendar and go and execute it. And that's just something we can be doing on the dailies that I think can really, really help. When it comes to like inspection, things that you can do that are quick is just like looking at like the 3 whys, or I like the 5 whys. But let's take the three whys. So why change or why buy? Why do they need to do something differently? Why do they need to do something now? Where's the urgency? What's the burning business impact that's driving change? And then why us? What do they love about us? What about our differentiation? Why do they want to partner with us specifically? If we don't know that, then maybe we need to go and ask those questions. Okay. So just build a list of things that you want to inspect. All right. And then just have them into like a checklist or into some kind of cadence. Could be in your calendar, could be in your revenue intelligence tool, could be in your CRM, could just be on a bit of paper on your desk, whatever it might be, that you just open up your pipeline and you're just running through a bit of a checklist. Have I done this? Yes. And remember as well, it's not about what people say, it's the actions they take. So when I teach MEDPIC to sales organizations and we're talking about champions, a lot of the time I'm like, hey, one of the things that we can actually do to test a champion is not qualify what they say, it's qualify the actions they take. If they're like, hey, yeah, I know Bob, Bob's our CFO, like I meet with Bob all of the time, a lot of salespeople are like, okay, sweet, like he has a connection to the economic buyer, must be a champion. Right, like the testing part is, can that person actually influence and bring other people into a conversation? So I'm going to see how they act before I qualify or I get super confident that person's my champion. So just build a bit of a checklist or a framework that you want to follow when you're inspecting opportunities, and then just run through that every single time. One of the things that I love doing, and I've been really geeking out with custom GPTs in the last kind of 10, 11 months, is building like deal clinic GPTs where it asks you like 3-5 questions about a opportunity, and at the end it gives you some feedback on your gaps and your qualification gaps and where you need to go and plug them. So again, if you want some help on this, reach out, but think about how you can leverage AI just to like scan a call transcript. Like I've got a ghosting one where I come off a discovery call. I haven't even been ghosted yet. I come off the discovery call, I drop my transcript in, and then using all of the content that I've trained the model on, what good looks like, that kind of stuff, in like 10-15 seconds, it tells me why I would get ghosted and why I'm probably not going to be ghosted at this stage based on what I did well on the call, what I uncovered, or what I maybe didn't. And it's going to help me build a bit of a plan, okay? So again, we can be using AI to help us inspect opportunities so we can do it on a more regular basis and we can ultimately help us close those deals. One of the things that you should be doing absolutely every Monday morning or Friday afternoon is doing a really quick review on your revenue goal metric. So where am I to goal? So let's say, for example, my goal is to close 250K this quarter. And I'm on 100K. My gap is 150. So what's my pipeline coverage? So if my win rate's, I don't know, 20%, I need 5x coverage. Do I even have enough in at the right stages? I don't mean just like overall pipeline. Do I have enough opportunities that can close within the period that I'm in? So let's say, for example, there's 28 days left. Like, it's all good having a load of deals in discovery, but if our sales process from discovery to closed one is 168 days, those deals probably aren't going to help me, regardless of how many discounts you give people. So you need to be able to build pipeline coverage based on specific stages that deals are in, time to close, all of that kind of good variation. Again, I've got some calculators that you can use, so just reach out to me if you need some help. But you need to look on at least a weekly basis and go, right, where am I to my goal? What's my gap to goal? What's my current performance rate? What's my pipeline coverage, and what do I actually need to do to advance those opportunities? Or do I need to pick up the phone a bunch of times to actually go and build some pipeline, because I'm never going to make my revenue goal if I don't? Some other things you can think about are just like simple metrics. So I just wrote down here like time in stage. So if I can see this deal is sat in stage for far too long, then I probably need to do something and have a tough conversation with them. Let's just say, for example, deals typically sit in the technical evaluation phase for, I don't know, 37 days, and this deal's been in there for 128, and it's the only one that stands out like a sore thumb like that, then what's happening? Probably lack of urgency, lack of impact in the business, or maybe a very junior person I'm dealing with who doesn't know how to get a deal through the sales process, the buying process, and maybe I need to pivot and go and find a different person in that account to drive the deal forwards. And I'm probably going to work with that person first, and then if not, I'm going to go around them if they're blocking it. Okay. What about number of engaged stakeholders? We know, like Gartner found, recently in a report, I think it was May this year, like average is at 8 to 11. I was on a call with a rep the other day. I think it was like 25 different stakeholders in their very large enterprise sales process. So, lots of people. If you can look at your deal in Gong or in HubSpot or whatever deal intelligence tool you're using, and you're like, typically when we win deals, there's 7 people involved in the process. We've got 2, and one of them, like, I actually don't really need to speak to. They're not actually that helpful or that important. So I've got 1. Again, that's going to show me some risk in my pipeline. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a plan to solve it, right? But I need visibility. So part of this like Mastery Monday today episode I wanted to do is actually just like reinforce the frequency that you should be doing this. Otherwise, one of my favorite sayings is it takes a long time for bad news to travel uphill. Right, I'll let that sit with you. It takes a long time for bad news to travel uphill. So I first heard this when I was selling HR tech, and basically what they were saying is that by the time your culture is broken, by the time it gets to the CEO, it's usually too late. It's already kind of happened and spread. So it's the same when we're in sales. By the time we get the bad news, it's late in the quarter, it's usually too late to actually go and build enough pipeline to close things out. So we need to be on the ball every day, once a week, looking at specific things and going, okay, am I pacing well? Am I on track? Am I behind? What's my plan? How am I performing to plan? And being able to make changes and course correct really quickly rather than waiting too long. And that's why I love tools like MedPick. Let's get into that next, is because I don't see it as a checklist. A lot of people do. It's the complete wrong mindset. I implemented it 3 times when I was a VP of sales. Now I help other organizations do it. And my teaching is using it like a GPS. Yeah, like using it as a navigation system. Where am I strong? Where am I weak? It's going to highlight the weakness. I need to go and do something about it. It's like if I was driving from my home in Portsmouth to Edinburgh, like I could probably get there without Google Maps. It might just take me 2 or 3 times as long, because I'm probably going to take a couple of wrong turns. I might end up using more fuel, right? Which is going to be frustrating, where I could just stick Google Maps on and I can just drive the way. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be distracted and maybe take the wrong exit at a roundabout, but Google Maps is going to be like, hey, chill, no worries. Like, I've got you. Let's go right here. Let's take the next left, and we're going to be back on our, planned route, right? And that's the beauty of tools like MedPick. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is building a confidence to close score. So the beauty of a tool like Medic or MedPick is it's basically going to help me identify where I am strong, where I'm weak, and then what do I need to do to close those gaps. I'm a big fan of not just having fields in CRM of like metrics and then reps as like free type in there. I think that's important because we want to capture that because there's a load of value to the business in identifying what those are for one opportunity across a group. Good for marketing to use those kind of things. But the other thing I think is really important underneath that field for metrics is having metric hyphen score. And underneath it is some kind of scoring logic which validates the quality of our qualification. Same with economic bias, same with decision criteria, so on and so forth. So again, I've got tools for this, reach out like Google Sheets, little calculators, some AI stuff. But you want to be understanding, okay, for this deal, what is my confidence to close score and how is that rolling up? Well, this one I'm really confident on because I've got this score, which tells me I'm in a really good place. This one I've actually forecasted it. There's 4 weeks left of the quarter. We're in enterprise sales. I don't even know what their paper process is. So like, is this going to be hey, send me a DocuSign, I'll get this thing signed off in a week? Or is this going to be a 4 week backwards and forwards with legal? And is it going to be, InfoSec review after InfoSec review after InfoSec review, so on and so forth? Like, there's risk. That's fine. There's risk with every deal until there's dry ink on the contract. But now I've identified that risk. I've got 4 weeks left to close. I don't know anything about paper process. Now I need to go and figure that out. I'm going to pick up the phone with my champion. I'm going to jump on a call with them. I'm going to do some discovery, do some qualification, give myself some confidence, make a plan. And that nicely kind of gets us into our last kind of point today, guys, which is a get well plan. So when I was building as a VP of sales, one of my sales organizations, we'd gone through like a really kind of great period of growth. And then all of a sudden, boom, we were just hit with some like real big challenges and we're struggling for a little while. Very experienced exec that sat on the board was like, hey, you need to build a get well plan. It's like, imagine that you're not very well, you go to the doctors and they'd like make a bunch of recommendations and then you'd go home, you'd be like, right, I need to make sure I'm taking my vitamins, drinking plenty of water, getting plenty of rest, eating well, all of that kind of stuff. Same in sales. So I need to make a get well plan if I'm behind. So if I'm way behind my pipeline goal, you bet I'm going to be looking at messaging, looking at my target accounts. Am I working too many accounts? Am I not working enough? Am I going deep and wide in these accounts to ensure high penetration into those accounts? Or am I stuck with like one prospect going through the sequence? If I get nothing, I'm moving on. Have I got time blocks on my calendar? Am I doing 3 cold call blocks, one at 10, one at 2, one at 4? Am I preparing well for discovery? Like, I'm basically just building a get well plan and I'm going to implement it and I'm going to obsess over it, because if I don't, then what's the point in doing it? Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm doing it because I'm going to make an assumption that it's the right thing to do. If I don't think it's going to work, don't bother doing it. Rethink the plan and then go and execute it. So anyone that's listening to this right now, if you're looking at your current performance to target for the quarter or even for the rest of the year, and you're looking at, right, well, I've got 4 or 5 months left until the year's up. This is my pipeline. This is my gap to goal. This is the risk. What can I actually do to go and solve it? And be prepared to ask the hard questions internally. And, again, this comes down to your sales leadership team about creating a safe culture, but you should feel okay to raise your hand and say, hey, look, I'm really struggling. I don't feel confident here. I've got this risk. If the business genuinely wants you to win, genuinely wants you to be successful, they'll be like, cool, dude, thanks so much for raising your hand and being honest about that. Now I can do something to help the both of us solve this big problem. Let's work together on it, right? So yeah, little exercise for you now is reach out to me specifically. I'll give you a little calculator, a little kind of pipeline review sheet where you can do some of the scoring and things like that. It might be on our website, but just reach out to me just in case, and I'll definitely give you a copy. And I want you to open up your pipeline and I want you to start scoring some of your deals to hopefully identify some big risk that you can then identify and then go and make a plan to go and solve and mitigate that risk and drive your deal to the finish line and hopefully close those deals on time this quarter or ready for next quarter, so that you don't start panicking last minute and then that whole classic breathing into a brown paper bag, not knowing if you're going to make it or not. Like, let's get some predictability. It's never perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say Medic is a silver bullet, but my last organization, we reduced the time to close by 64% and increased the win rate from 11 to 57% by using it as a framework, as a GPS to help us navigate complexity. Not just in terms of what you're selling, but the complexity of the buyer process. Remember what I was talking about earlier on in this episode. So yeah, hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions, let me know. Looking forward to delivering our next episode of Mastery Monday next week. And until then, I'll see you then.